In today's episode of the Midweek Ramble, I'm diving into the comments section of previous videos and answering some of your questions. If that sounds like just your cup of tea, get comfy and let's dive in. Hello, and welcome to the Wool Needles Hands Midweek Ramble. My name is Taylor, and I will be your host. Sometimes, once in a blue moon, every so often, I like to dive into the comment section here on a video and answer some questions that have come in. I try my best to be in the comments and replying to your guys' comments, especially questions, but sometimes I fall a little bit behind, and I feel like that happened in the last week, and I want to dive in to some of those questions that were recently submitted to previous videos, not just the most previous video, but previous videos in general, and answer some questions. And I like doing that because not only do I get to give some of those questions like their moment to like really answer them here, well, I don't know, somewhat thoroughly, I like to figure out what kinds of new rabbit holes we can go down together. And so that's what we're going to do today. And yeah, I just want to get into that. I also am going to be shooting an after show after this, which will go up over on Patreon. It's just a little video that I pop in after I do the main videos where we talk a little bit further about other things that are going on. And I have, for that after show episode, I'm going to share with you something that I am referring to. I'm trying to decide whether it's going to be named Bready Roosevelt or Bread Sheeran. I'm not going to explain here. You're just going to have to come to the after show to find out what on earth I'm talking about. So that's going to be there. But then also I want to share with you a little swatch that I'm working on here and something I have planned for this gorgeous Fiber for the People yarn. All of that is over on the after show, so don't miss it. Head over to Patreon, see if it's for you. Any support that you can provide is so appreciated. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over here where I have pulled up just questions for previous videos and starting with the newest. The first one here comes in from @NinaJ365. It says, I've checked my pattern. This is in reference to my most recent video where I talk about my progress on my Sabai top by Suzanne Mueller. I have checked my pattern and I don't have any Sabai 1 and 2. It's just Sabai. Bought it on Ravelry. Does the 1 and 2 situation occur on Suzanne Mueller's website? Excellent question. I did not know that that was an issue. So what I'm going to do is head over to Ravelry and we're going to see what we can find, because when I type in Sabai, this is the Sabai top here. Now, when you download this pattern, because this is the one that I downloaded, it's in my library, you receive both Sabai number 1 and Sabai number 2. So I'm wondering if perhaps this commenter maybe just hasn't dug in to the pattern to see that they're both there, but I was able to download my pattern from Ravelry, and my pattern does include both the instructions for both Sabai 1 and Sabai 2. So I would look into it again because they should both be there. I didn't purchase this from the Suzanne Mueller website. Okay, next one. Wool needle, oh, so that's me. Jess M.A. Kinjit? Oh my God. Sometimes... Just making it. Wow. I'm usually really good at like reading license plates, like funky license plates. That one just completely went over my head. Wow, embarrassing. Okay. I wonder if using on gauge needle tip on 1 gauge needle tip on the knit side and smaller tip on the purl rows would eliminate the gauge difference that produces rowing out. I'm just thinking how an interchangeable needle would allow for different sizes on each end of the cable, making the compensation almost mindless. Unless you forget to make the tips the same when you get to the circular section. Not that I mind the look of rowing out, like you said, when it's consistent throughout, it's fine. Another thought is, I bet that this is why there is often a texture stitch change at the sleeve separation in many historical sweater designs. Things that make you go, I spent the better part of my life, 40 plus years, working towards getting the same tension in the round as flat, as well as continental and English. They've been very close for years until last year when I had right elbow tendon repair, and then again even more so after having left thumb tendon release, trigger thumb. Now it's like I'm starting all over again, as I've noticed that not only is my circular and flat tension slightly different, but I have to make all new swatches because my overall tension is looser. Oh well, just another challenge to conquer. Have a great week and take care. That's interesting, really interesting. So the question here was that, I think the question is asking, can't you just use 2 different size needle tips on a set, on a interchangeable needle cable, so that way you can alleviate rowing out, which is what I mentioned 2 videos ago. We started talking about the phenomenon of rowing out. If you watched that video, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't watched that video, you may still be familiar with what this is. And she's asking if you can use an interchangeable needle cable with one size on one end and a smaller size or a larger size on the other end. So that way you're knitting your knits with a smaller needle and your your knits with a larger needle and your purls with a smaller needle. That sounds very confusing. But to answer this person's question, yes, I think that you absolutely can. In fact, I mentioned it in that video that it was something I considered. However, I didn't have my size 6 needle tips because I think they're occupied in another project somewhere. But yes, you can. And then the compensation is definitely more mindless than it is if you're using 2 whole separate needle sizes. Okay, watch that former video. That will make that all make more sense. Next one. This person's not really asking a question, just making a comment that my saw-by top, as I was wearing it in my previous video, it was cropped to right here because I'm not finished with it yet. And they say I actually like it as an ultra cropped vestlet. Yeah, it is cute. All right, Deanna Pickman 4867 asks, can you share your book pillow for knitting? I never read when I'm knitting, but would like to do. I'd love to see your setup. Yes, in fact, I had read some of these prior to filming this video, and that one was not, no, that one must have been there, but there are a few people who asked that same question, and so I brought this over. This, I've shown this before. This is my book pillow. It is, it's a very simple little doodad here. It is called the BookSeat. You can buy it on Amazon, but I'm going to tell you something. It's $39. And I don't know. I really love it. When I read and knit, it works beautifully. If I'm having a cup of coffee and reading and I don't want to have to hold my coffee and my book in the same, at the same time, I love it. I have used it a ton. Do I think it's worth $39? Honestly, that's a little steep to me personally. So just know. I mean, if you really love the idea of having this, I totally recommend it. I think it's fantastic. But it is $39 US. And so I don't know. It seems a little pricey. I don't know if it was $39 when I bought it. I think it was, which I don't know, but it is really a great little thing here. Anyway, this is it. It has a place that holds it, kind of this little plastic part right here just holds your book in place. I'll put my book on it so you can see. I'm reading Mistress of Rome by Kate Quinn right now, and I'm almost finished, and I'm obsessed. I absolutely love this book, by the way. You can hear me talk all about this book over on the Good Books Lately YouTube channel, where I host a Booktube podcast with my husband. All right. So here it is. There's my book. Okay, it's on my book seat. You can tighten, depending on the size of your book, you can loosen or tighten this so it holds it flat. No nonsense, pretty simple, and it's not heavy. Some of these book pillows that you get are kind of heavy. They've got metal like arms that come in and hold things down, and they've got like a wood bottom, and it's a whole thing. Part of the appeal of this is it's not over constructed. It's a beanbag. It's like one of those love sack chairs. It's just kind of like a beanbag seat for your book. So you can put it on your lap and it kind of just molds to your legs. It's falling off the table. Okay, so there's that. So what I do, let me position my chair here. Okay, so here we are. So I'm usually sitting in like a more relaxed chair, not up on like a bar stool chair. My legs are probably up like this. So my book is like this. I even have my project with me. Here, let's get this thing sorted out. Where am I? Here we are. Okay. Now, prerequisites for using the BookSeat is you kind of got to know how to knit without looking at your work, because it's not even necessarily, it's just if you're going to read and knit at the same time, you have to be able to read and knit at the same time, right? So if you're not able to knit without looking at your work, you're going to need to practice doing that. And a really good way to practice doing that, as I discovered while I filmed a video for our Booktube channel, my husband's and my reading Booktube channel, was to blindfold yourself.
Okay, ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, I hated this boring ass, pompous ass, dumb ass book.
I hope I hated it too then.
No, you loved this book.
Okay.
I only picked ones you liked.
Oh, okay, good.
Like
I did too. I did too. You can blindfold yourself with like a sleep mask and then practice knitting without looking at your knitting. And it's a really good way to just completely remove that sense altogether. Because if you just try to like look up, you'd be surprised how many times you take little sneak peeks without even realizing it because it's just instinct, it's natural. But if you put an eye mask over your eyes and start working through your knitting, I'm doing it right now. I don't need to look down there, but it just instinctually, I just look down here, but I don't need to do that. But I see, it's weird. But if you have something to do with your eyeballs, like read a book, you find that your hands are perfectly capable of knitting the stitches if they are, if it's all stockinette stitch, if it's pretty simple, if you're not using some kind of complicated yarn combination. Sometimes you have to look down if you have to restart a row, or you're switching needle tips or something, or you just need to get started. You might have to look down for that. But I'm forcing myself to look up right now because it's just right in front of my face. But for the most part, or if you get a snag like that, you can do it if you practice by removing that sense altogether. So anyway, I'll be sitting here, and I'll have it going, I'll get it started, and then I'll just pull it down here and I'll start reading. And if the book is good enough, you'll get so captivated by the story that you won't even think to look down at your knitting. And there are chances that in doing this, you will make mistakes. Okay. So you want to make sure every so often you stop and you go back and make sure you didn't split your yarn, something like that. So that is it. That is my setup. I have my book seat here on my lap, like this, my book, and my knitting. And that's it. And sometimes you can put your knitting a little further or your book a little further away if you have a bigger project. Maybe you even have it kind of sitting off to the side like this. But because this is so lightweight, it really goes anywhere. It sits anywhere. Yeah, I don't know. I love it. It's got a handle. It even has a little pocket in the back for you. You can like put your phone in there if you, I don't know, whatever you want to put in there, right? It's just a place for things, right? You can store things in it. And yeah, so that's my book seat. I'll link to the one that I have down in the description box if you're interested. I purchased it on Amazon. Yeah, so that's that. And I really like it. Okay, this next question I really like. This is what I'm talking about, rabbit holes here. This is Crochet Gone Crazy. And she says, can you do a video possibly covering what kinds of items or garments would be nice using your Fiber for the People yarn? I know you've talked briefly about the yarn before, but I'm curious about its texture, feel, drape, stitch definition, etc. for different pattern applications. I'm currently working down my stash or queue, but want to purchase from you a garment quantity when I next splash out for yarn. Well, first of all, thank you so much for asking that question because that means a lot to me that you're interested. Yes, I've been asked this question before. Someone emailed me with a question like this, and I would like to do a video where I share with you some really great options of items, garments, things that you can knit with this yarn in particular. This is what I've kind of been referring to as my flagship yarn base for Fiber for the People. It is 100% merino rambouillet. It is a sport weight yarn, 2-ply. It's a semi-woolen spun, so it has a little bit more of a real rustic and this is very bright. Let me grab one that's a little bit easier to see the texture. Something a little bit more muted. There we go. It has a little bit of a nubby texture. It's real earthy, real artisanal. No, that's not the right word. Bucolic. I don't know, rustic. Okay, it's got a little bit of a nice feel to it. It's not coarse. It's actually quite soft, but it does have some like, I don't know, nuances about it. Nuances? Like traits that make it special, kind of unique in its texture. And I would love to dive into some patterns, some projects that would be really good for this particular kind of yarn. And I think before I do that, I have a project I'm working on. In fact, this project right here, this is my fleece sweater. This is being knit in all Fiber for the People, born, shorn, and dyed yarn, which is what I call that particular yarn base. And I absolutely love it. And if you stick around for the after show after this, I'm talking about another project I'm going to be starting soon with that same yarn. And I would like to dive into other projects that would be really good for this yarn because it is very special and just blooms beautifully when it's dyed. It wears beautifully and it has an awful lot of character. So yes, absolutely. I will do that. I will put that together. I think that might be a really soon to come video. I think that could be a lot of fun. So yes, I will do that. Absolutely. Okay, this is in reference to someone made a Ravelry roulette app. I shared with you guys on a couple of videos ago that someone designed a Ravelry roulette web app or web. Okay, this is in reference to someone made a Ravelry roulette app. I shared with you guys on a couple of videos ago that someone designed a Ravelry roulette web app or website really where you could go and play Ravelry roulette. And let me go to this video so that I can pull up the actual. Can I just go here? In today's episode. All right, I'm going to pull up the actual website so that I can show you. Here we are. Okay, so somebody asked, can they download this app? Well, here it is. This is the website that you go to play Ravelry Roulette. I'll spin the wheel and show you how it works. There we go. Random project right there from all of the projects on Ravelry. This is fantastic. The person who created this, they even say on the about section here, got the idea from my series Ravelry Roulette, which I think is really awesome. You don't need to download any app for this. There is no app. You just go to the website, and I link to that website under that video, but I'll link to it below this video as well. You just go to the website, no app download necessary, and you can kind of play Ravelry Roulette, which is really cool. Okay, this next one is 9 days ago on a video from a while ago. And the video is how to use Ravelry pattern advanced search. And Mac VA13 asks, or she says, thank you so much for this video. Question, is there a way to search for gauge? I have, and this is in reference to Ravelry pattern search. I have a worsted yarn that I get 20 stitches to 4 inches. Can I find a pattern that would use about 1,200 plus yards at that gauge? Thanks. This is a fantastic question and one I am more than happy to answer. And the answer is yes, you absolutely can search Ravelry based on your gauge. And it is something I plan to do in the very near future. And I'm going to talk about that later on the after show. Here we are. This is the Ravelry search page, or the browse, I guess you could say. And over here along the side, this is where we have all of the search filters. If you scroll all the way down past all of these search filters, and we're going to come back up here to the yardage in just a moment, we go all the way past down to the bottom to these linked ones here. We're going to go all the way down here to gauge. Now you can search by gauge out of 10 centimeters, or you can search by gauge out of 4 inches, depending on what you're measuring, what you have determined, if you're using centimeters or inches. Because this person is using inches, we're going to go with that. She is getting a gauge of 20 stitches to 4 inches. So I'm going to put here 18 to 20 stitches just to give a little bit of a range to 4 inches. So we've narrowed it down by that. Now she said she had 1,200 plus yards of yarn. So we're going to go over here to 900 to 1,200 and 1,200 to 1,500, just to give us kind of a range of yardages. Okay. Now, if we go all the way up here to the top, you can see that we've narrowed it down by its gauge and by the yardage. And then if you want, you can even narrow it down further. You can do it clothing, you can do the fiber type, you know, all of these things. But if this is where we're narrowing it down for now, not worrying about anything else, these are the results that we've been given to match that particular gauge. And it's really very cool because if you have a yarn that you know you want to use, and you swatch with it on a needle size that it either recommends on the ball band or you know works well with your particular gauge, and you have a swatch that comes out beautifully and you want that fabric in a project, you can just take the gauge you're getting there, pop it into Ravelry, and then there you go. You've got all of these projects that match that particular gauge, and it kind of just takes that guesswork out of the whole prep part of knitting something, where you know you find a pattern that you like the halibut sweater by Caitlin Hunter, and you think, okay, I'm gonna need it looks like DK weight yarn, I need a gauge that's 20 stitches to 4 inches. You got to have the yarn, you got to get that gauge. This way you kind of skip that process because you already did that, right? You already kind of figured out the gauge for a yarn you like on a needle that works, and now you're hunting down the pattern to match. So that's how you would do that, and it's a fantastic way to search for patterns on Ravelry, in my opinion. I just feel like it's less stressful. Okay, this one is knitting the Sabai top project update and future plans. This was 12 days ago. This is in reference to this top here, my Sabai top. The person's just asking, this is Small Bean VT. Are you holding the yarn double? And quick answer, I am. I am holding this yarn double. This is Knitting for Olive Merino. held double. And that's what I'm doing for my saw by top. Bada bing, bada boom. Okay, that's where I'm going to leave it for today. Thank you so much for letting me take some time to answer some of these questions, some fun rabbit holes to go down. A couple of things I really took from that is that I need to do some videos on really fun projects that can be created with Fiber for the People flagship yarn, which is 100% Merino Rambouillet sport weight. This yarn, for those of you that don't know, is born and shorn and dyed right here in the state of Nevada. The sheep are raised up in northern Nevada in the Basque tradition of sheep ranching. It's a really beautiful process. It's a really beautiful family where I get this particular wool from. They are the Dufferina family up north. I love them, and I'm so thankful to be offering this yarn in my shop. And so it's all local, regionally local, and I love that. So that's why this is really special, and it has a lot of really fun character. And I would be more than happy to come up with a cool video where we talk about projects that can be knit with this yarn. So that is something I would love to do with that. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. Head over to Patreon, watch the after show. I want to introduce you to what Bread Sheeran, whatever Mr. Bread, Freddie Van Halen. I'm not sure. You can help me decide. And then I also want to talk to you about what is happening here with these yarns. I will see you there. In the meantime, happy making, happy knitting, happy whatever it is that you're doing. Take care, be well, and I will see you soon. Bye.